In 2021, Ousama Ranking was in contention to be Anime of the Year, with very strong initial episodes. Even someone who is as dense as I am saw the potential this anime had. The animation and art was pleasing, the world was a refreshing callback to a more classic fantasy setting, and Bojji's character setup held the promise of a very compelling, feel-good underdog story where this frail boy could seemingly achieve the impossible in a world where everything opposed his existence. So, the show sets up a very relatable protagonist whose issues and deficiencies are easily understood. He is small, he cannot speak or talk, and as a result faces various challenges. The people in the city make fun of him every time he is around. Compared to his powerful father, who is a giant and physically one of the strongest characters in this world, Bojji is tiny and frail. He doesn't have enough strength to pick up average-sized rocks. He is very gullible and is easily manipulated by Kage in the first episode. He is picked on and beaten by his brother in a sword duel, which is encouraged by Bojji's own instructor Domas. He is naive, simple, and yet kind-hearted. He's shown to be compassionate towards the two-headed snake, Mitsumata, even though it bites him. Later in the show, he urges healing to heal the animals that were attacking them. Bojji challenges the most fundamental idea of power in his world, which is physical strength. He doesn't overcome his physical challenges by becoming physically stronger in his realm, where physical strength is the only thing that matters. With Despa's help, he learns to turn his agility into an offensive tool, something which is initially considered pathetic and cheap way of fighting. Domas telling him that his swordsmanship isn't that of a king and that he's just running away. He's the underdog of all underdogs, and it's easier to cheer for him. His journey is the classic hero's journey. The motivations and goals are clearly understood. Bojji's goal of becoming strong and proving himself provides a clear direction for the story. This clarity helps the audience understand the protagonist's desire and stakes involved in the journey. Bojji is slightly plain, yes, but inspiring, a character you want to cheer for. The hook of the show created in the first few episodes is very strong, not only because we feel bad for him, but he shows incredible potential to overcome his destiny. Alright, so the first issue I want to address is that the show doesn't fully deliver on a compelling transformative journey, and I'll be taking a little bit of time to explain this. To clarify, not all aspects of the journey are problematic as mentioned earlier. The setup is great, and by the end, Bojji does become a symbol of courage for everyone, having overcome his challenges. However, the specific issue I have is with the journey itself, because the problems present within it are issues that have an overarching effect on the show as a whole. The entire notion of a transformative journey depends on Bojji's ability to overcome genuine challenges, a journey that pushes who he is internally and externally, a journey where he is forced to not only become stronger through real trials, but experience a world which is constantly trying to take advantage of him. Think of how every character around Mob tries to exploit his powers. The difficulty of the transformative journey plays a vital role in shaping the nature and extent of a character's transformation, right? A truly challenging journey forces the character to confront their limitations, reevaluate their values, and grow in ways that might have been impossible through a more comfortable and linear experience. And the reality is, Bojji's journey is a comfortable and linear experience. He literally miraculously falls down a well because Domas, who was tasked with killing the kid, could have killed him anywhere, but out of the sheer convenience of the plot, kills him exactly at the place where Bojji needs to go, at the opening of a pit that directly leads to the underworld king Desha. Bojji miraculously also has Kage in his backpack, who saves him from a death fall, and that's it, that's the journey. He then walks straight to Despa, the sibling of the second strongest king, who trains him. Bojji's training with Despa is relatively easy. He does not need to learn anything new or become a better version of himself. Despa locks himself and Bojji in a room for a week and that's it. he's the strongest character in the world now. Even the goblins he encounters to test his powers are paid for by Despa. Yes, of course, Bojji faces the immortal Oaken towards the end, but that encounter is not part of his transformative journey. This matters because that was one of the promises of the setup, the idea of a classic adventure with this kid I can cheer for, where I can get to experience compelling, interesting trials and tribulations and see the world grow through Bojji's eyes. The crux is that he receives so much assistance and experiences so few hardships along the way that it diminishes the significance of him going anywhere, making it less impactful and memorable. Let's put this side by side with something like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Edward and Alphonse's adventures. Would you remember the Elric brothers' journey if they didn't lose their bodies while trying to bring back their mother? Or how hard they struggled to bring down each homunculus? Or finding out that what they believed will fix their problems, the Philosopher's Stone, is made by sacrificing thousands of people? Or meeting characters like Nina Tucker, which questions everything about the society they're part of? Would you remember their journey if they just held hands, made friends along the way that solved all their problems, and told them exactly where to go and what to do? No, the answer is no. If you're saying that Bojji's some kid, he isn't that type of a character, and this is a more light-hearted, light-spirited show, what's stopping him from experiencing a journey that is deep and interesting and sticks with the audience for a long time? Let's say it is unfair to compare the two shows due to the differences in their episodes, right? And FMAB has many more episodes to properly flesh out the world that they live in. And I agree, it's not a fair comparison. Then what about shows like Steins Gate and how Okabe starts out being this goofy wannabe scientist, and the foundation of his character is completely shaken by the events of the show, and it's all within 25 episodes. I know it is unfair to compare Ousama Ranking to these great shows, but I will, because this show has an 8.5 rating, and somehow it gets much worse. I have to be harsh because, in a way, my argument is that the rating Ousama Ranking got makes absolutely no sense, and I will resort to comparing it to the greats of anime because it was rated the same as some of the greatest. Let me demonstrate the second issue. So there are glaring narrative problems created by the overuse of healing. The idea of being injured or in danger loses its meaning because there's a lot of mechanisms in place that constantly prevents life-threatening injuries. The show pushes the idea of everyone needing to be saved to such an extreme that even characters who are supposedly dead are having conversation with living ones at the literal edge of life and death. The healing mechanisms are so powerful that Miranjo is able to travel to the edge of afterlife to save Kage. So what's the problem here? The sacrifices of the characters lose their emotional value, as there's no lasting impact on the story or their development. The tension and suspense is completely disrupted. If characters are just going to get healed every time, why should I invest in their struggles? Consider the scene where Doroshi willingly chooses to protect healing, sacrificing his life because he truly believes that healing is a character worth protecting. This powerful moment is entirely devalued because in the end, he will just be healed again, and he does. The emotional impact that his sacrifice would have had on the surrounding characters is also completely taken away. Characters are unable to grow and develop because the lack of danger prevents them from having to adapt, problem solve, and evolve. This is not a video game where your support players are popping off and hard carrying. In storytelling, it simply does not work like that. The healing mechanism is 100% a crutch for the story, allowing the writers to avoid dealing with the consequences of their characters' actions. Oh, you made a bad decision 5 times in a row? Or maybe you risked your life to save someone. Well, guess what? You will not die, so keep doing whatever you want. This is lazy because there's no need to create compelling situations or explore the growth in response to adversity. Just heal them. Consequences of actions are completely removed, stripping away any nuance and depth. It is impossible to explore themes like mortality if characters are constantly being recovered and actions have no consequences because everyone is getting healed. Stop it! The stakes and danger in the world are significantly diminished, undermining the sense of peril that characters should be facing. Towards the end of the show, the writers seem to have realized that healing is healing everything too much and sets it up in such a way that she runs out of juice, finally. The danger should ramp up at this point, right? But no. Miranjo and Boss, who have never been shown to possess this power, steps in, heals everyone in danger anyways. When we think of some of the most memorable moments in anime, like when Ace sacrifices himself for Luffy, these moments become iconic, permanently cemented in anime history because they're definitive and carry so much emotional value. If Ace got healed and didn't die, the moment would lose its impact and viewers wouldn't be able to appreciate brotherly sacrifice and the consequences of facing a powerful enemy. Ace was barely in the show up until that point. He would just make cameos. But we understand his importance because he was related to other powerful characters in the show. See how Luffy was completely devastated? We understood how much Ace meant to him. We also recognized that Aka Inu was a very powerful character. This meant that the Straw Hats or most other characters in the One Piece world wouldn't just start a war with the government for no reason. They were extremely formidable. Do you see how well-executed consequences become a pivot point in a lot of great stories? This is the issue of Deus Ex Machina, which occurs when a character suddenly has the ability to do something that they were never shown to be capable of doing in the past, or when there's no proper build-up or justification for their newfound abilities. Both Miranjo and Boss are able to bring characters back to life from the brink of death, even though there's no justification for this ability in the story, arguing that they did not need to heal anyone before, that's why they didn't use their healing powers, is not a good enough excuse for them to suddenly have the power to bring back characters to life. That is way too much. It's a highly convenient plot device where the writers have written themselves in a corner and need to pull something out of thin air to justify their narrative choices. It simply does not make any sense. I will quickly list some of my other issues, which I will not go into detail because I don't really want to sound like a broken record. There's a lot of points to be reiterated. It's hard to believe or buy into Kage's backstory. I'm simply not going to believe that an entire clan of assassins, which are literal shadows, would run around in the open waiting to get stabbed. I'm sorry, that makes no sense. It beats the whole point of them being shadows or assassins. The namesake of the show, Ranking of the Kings, has no significance in the story. Bojji's journey doesn't have a tie to the ranking test. Something like to claim his throne back, he goes on this adventure to get stronger and prove he's a worthy contender by conquering the most prestigious test of power. The ranking, letting the kings choose a weapon imbued with the power of gods, has nothing to do with the story. It's just random, useless information. The demon who controls everything is just a random demon. It's not like the demon is a result of an ancient treasure that Boss acquired when he beat the ranking and became the strongest. The point is that the whole idea of a ranking is completely insignificant. Miranjo killing Bojji's mom, just like her trying to kill Healing, doesn't make any sense. It's just a cheap way of letting the audience know that she is the bad guy while trying to gather sympathy for Bojji. Boss gets resurrected and sits there for the entire show, completely useless, because he never asked to be resurrected. But Bojji has to fight him at the end anyways because Boss loves Miranjo. His existence is completely pivoted around another character's pointless endeavors. Desha's inconsistent actions, like invading Boss's kingdom and then leaving without doing anything, adds another layer of questions. First, Desha wants to invade because he wants to take over Boss's kingdom, but he also wants to kill Miranjo and the demon for freeing his brother Oaken. So Desha reaches Boss's kingdom with his entire army, only for him to leave and not care about taking over because his brother Despa told him he can kill Miranjo. But why? What was the point then? If you are at the castle with your army and the people you want to get rid of are literally upstairs, why would you leave? Why did you come here in the first place? And no, Bojji did not convince him to leave. He just left. My biggest issue with the show is Miranjo. And let me be honest, Miranjo is a truly multifaceted and deep character, just that it's different depths of confusion. So we will start from the very light confusion and slowly progress towards the more heavier confusion. A portion of the show focuses on Miranjo's attempt to kill Healing after successfully reviving Boss, the deceased king, Bojji's father. Miranjo initially tries to kill Healing because of an old promise. This is an important piece of information for later. The obvious question is, why is she trying to kill her? Is Miranjo jealous of Healing and that's why she wants to get rid of her? No, that does not seem likely because Boss loves Miranjo more than any other character in the show, and she's the only one who remains by his side most of the way through. Miranjo has no reason to be envious of Healing. She pretty much controls Boss. Maybe she wants to kill Healing and take her body so that she can possess it or be resurrected. Maybe. This is complete speculation, but it also makes the most sense. The foundation for this being the case is already in the show. We see Miranjo trying to command a puppet body to dance with Boss, but she cannot do it for too long, implying that she does wish for a real body. The reason this is speculation is because of this promise about killing Healing is never mentioned again, even though this is supposed to be the main motivating factor for wanting to get rid of her. Literally ever again. We do not know what this promise is. What I'm trying to get at is, being one of the larger focuses of the show, the build-up to why Miranjo would want to kill Healing is extremely undercooked to the point that it feels completely unnecessary, making all those episodes where she is trying to get rid of her make very little sense. This is important to mention because this idea is the focus of multiple episodes. Not only do the writers not focus on fleshing out Miranjo's reason for trying to kill her, but also muddy her motivation by introducing way too many goals and desires. Miranjo wants to be beside Boss, so she revives him. But she also wants to protect Boss even though he never needed protection. But now she needs to kill everyone who is in Boss's way even though no one is in his way, because he doesn't have a way. And she also wants to kill Healing, then she also wants to destroy the kingdom once again. And then she releases a bunch of criminals from the underworld and tells them, do whatever you want, but the criminals end up doing nothing. See how some of these things have absolutely nothing to do with each other or are completely unnecessary? Why make a complete mess out of a character when you could have focused on one or two aspects and fleshed them out in detail? The show makes a colossal mistake by fulfilling Miranjo's main desire of bringing back Boss to life in the first 6 episodes, and now she has nothing better to do, hence all of this confusion. Also, if you want to kill Healing, just kill her then. Why, when the fight is going on, did her right-hand man, Appease, save Healing from being killed? Well, I know why, but once again, the writers did not care about making it believable. It doesn't feel like, oh, it makes sense why Appease would save Healing, but it feels more like, oh look, a character who is clearly about to die miraculously gets saved. It feels this way because Appease and Healing haven't exchanged more than one line of dialogue in the entire show. Because there is literally no foundation to their relationship, I cannot sympathize with Appease. As a result of him throwing his spear, Miranjo tells her animals to not kill Healing, so now the animals are just standing there and waiting for Doroshi to save her. It is such an awkward and poorly executed scene because they were trying to kill each other 2 seconds ago. Like, do you want Healing dead or not? Make up your mind. If the goal is to kill her, why is there so much hesitation? This makes so little sense that I feel like I do not need to justify and explain why this is bad, but I guess I will do it anyways because it's not apparent. Inconsistency and unrealistic behavior makes it hard to believe that a character with strong motivations would keep on delaying the opportunity to kill their target at multiple different instances without any justifiable reason. First, there is no well-established reason for Miranjo to kill Healing, and then there is no well-established reason for Miranjo to not kill her. You don't get it. Deep down, she's a good person. Yeah, that's why she's trying to kill Healing even though she could possess any other woman. That's why she tried to destroy the kingdom and kill Bojji's mother in the process, and now, all of a sudden, she has the chance to kill Healing. She's like, No, I'll give her a second chance to live. Nah, dude, I'm sorry. So, she uses the underworld portal to free a bunch of dangerous criminals. Well, what are these criminals for, you ask? Will they be a personal vanguard for the king and replace the previous king's guard? Will they help Miranjo destroy the kingdom? Well, you guessed right. None of the above. She releases these criminals and tells them, do whatever you want. So the criminals escape and capture King Boss, and this is the best part. King Boss, the strongest character by a long shot, the same guy who beats the strongest criminal, Oaken, into a literal pulp, gets thrown into a cell. He isn't poisoned or brainwashed or under any magical control. No, he willingly gets thrown into a cell. Mind you, at this point, King Boss himself has stated that he doesn't know what is going on. He thinks that this is Miranjo's grand plan. Regarding the criminals, why create characters that have no point in existing? Why create characters that do things without a reason? Why write characters that literally state at multiple points that they do not know what is going on? Why is this written this way? I kid you not, the freed criminals themselves are completely oblivious. Had this been 12 episodes instead of 24, this anime would make so much more sense. There would be a few other things to say, like how they tried to create sympathy for Miranjo through her backstory, but at this point, I am completely checked out. This one's a head scratcher, man. I do not know how, and why. I guess, dude.